Hi, Beth. Oh, I like the blue.
Oh, thank you. There's some up there too. There's some at the back. I don't look very glamorous today, sorry. But
don't worry.
There's no makeup.
Okay. Oh, don't worry. I just put on some lipstick. I was thinking I have to like up my game. So
yes.
I think today we're going to be a fairly small group because lots of people are still on Easter holiday. So if you have questions or things, go for it. So for you who are watching this now or later on, so my name is Anne. I help book writing coaches get more clients. And every last Tuesday of the month, we get together when book writing coaches have a problem in their business or a question or a topic they want to discuss, they can drop in at any time and we'll discuss and help them with their questions. If you can't attend, as this has been the case for a couple of you this month, you can send me your questions and I will make sure that we go over your questions during the half an hour. Bev, do you have a question to start off, or shall I start with one of the questions other people asked me?
No, you start with your
great. So first questions I got from Cara is, I am just starting out as a book writing coach, and my friends tell me that I should do free coaching to up my game and get more clients. Well, honestly, I'm not in favor of free coaching, Cara. There's a couple of reasons, but the main one is that it is attacking your credibility, because people can wonder, why are you giving free coaching? If you're just, if you're such a good book writing coach, why would you need free coaching? But one that's actually, I think, is even more important is that it's for you, it's going to be very difficult to charge more afterwards. If you start by zero and you say, okay, I do a coaching package of, let's say, 10 sessions over 6 months and I don't charge anything for it, it's going to be very difficult for you afterwards to say, oh, let's go from 0 to 2,000, for example. Now I can understand you starting out. It is difficult. You're not feeling very comfortable as well with charging, but there are things that you can do. So one thing you can do if you really, really have difficulties with charging for your packages is do hourly coaching. So you do 1 hour coaching. Now, I don't advise 1 hour coaching because it's sometimes quite complicated to really get into the mind with the writer, to know what the writer is talking about and so on. So what I would advise here is that you say, okay, I do 1 hour coaching, but I only do 10 hours. And you try each hour to up your game. So if you start, for example, your first hour, you say, okay, I'll just charge $20. I mean, go as high as you're comfortable with. So if $20 is what you're comfortable with, you charge your $20. Then the next hour, you add a little bit, you add a little bit, you add a little bit. And then after your 10 hours, you say, you know what, now I'm ready to go for the packages. If you feel comfortable to go right into your packages, you can also charge less for your packages. And then again, you can say, for example, my 10 sessions, I feel comfortable asking $1,000. Okay, keep on the $1,000 and then move up progressively again. So it's up to you when you want to move up. You can say, for example, I move up after every 3 clients or after 3 months. So it's, you see, you have lots of alternatives here without you having to go for the free coaching, because really for me, the free coaching it's really about yourself. It's going to be difficult to charge more. One that I had noted as well is that you can resent the client that you're working with. And I must say, I've experienced that as well, that you're coaching and you do expect something, but you know that you will not really get something. The client is not really taking you seriously. So I thought, for example, about my referrals. I never got any referral from any of my free clients. From my paying clients, yes. From my free clients, never. So, I mean, I hope that this gives you a couple of reasons to step back from the free coaching. As you've seen, there's really much alternatives. You only have to get in and say packages 10K. You have alternatives before getting there, but try to stay away from the free coaching. I got another question from Lisa. So Lisa, she's saying, I don't know what to do. There's so much competition out there. Why would people want to sign up with me? Yes, there are a lot of book writing coaches out there. It seems that they crawl out all over the place, and people who are not book writing coaches now add this as a secondary service. I know there's a lot of it. But there's only one Lisa, and that's you. There's only one person like you, that brings in her specific experience, her specific training, her specific way of doing. So honestly, don't let you get yourself being pulled down because there's so many other coaches out there. There's just one person like you. Also, I think there's enough space for everyone because of that. Even if you and I would say, you know, another colleague of you have exactly the same packages, it still is your personality that comes in. I think that especially for a book writing coach, it's 90% personality and helping that writer to get to the next stage, and 10% method, because you know, there's so many methods out there how to choose, but the personality, that's really important. When a writer has an issue, he or she doesn't want necessarily that you come up and say, oh, read this 10 books. He or she wants you to tell her, you know, you're going to make it. It's going to be, we're going to help you battle that writer's block. So don't be discouraged by that. And also, you're probably sitting there and telling me, oh, that's easy for you to say, Anne. Well, let me tell you what happened a couple of years ago. So for those who don't know, I was a networking coach before. So a couple of years ago, I have this dinner with a colleague of mine. So it's also a friend. We are coaching in the same area. And she started asking me questions about my networking packages. So I'm very friendly and I'm opening my computer. I show her everything, my packages. So you guess probably what happened. A couple of weeks later, I see on LinkedIn, I am a networking coach myself. Like, whoa. Didn't tell me anything about it. Go see on the website. She had taken over every single one of my packages. Only difference, she was charging triple what I did. So obviously I was completely heartbroken, didn't know what to do, completely in a panic. I don't have my website. I don't have my LinkedIn. Like I'm not even on social media. So how I'm going to compete with someone like this, right? So obviously I'm not replying to her emails anymore. Fast forward a couple of weeks later, I get a potential lead. It comes to referral. It's a good client of mine. It's a good friend of mine as well. So I'm a little bit in a situation where I can't really refuse the client. And then I get on the phone with that person. Right from the start, it's obvious that this is not going to work. Like the personality, it is just no click. And I just know that this is not going to work. But it's a referral. It's a good friend, you know. So, and then I thought about that other person who had taken over my networking coaches, packages. The thing was that the person I was talking with really needed help with her networking. And that I saw the benefit of her using my package, but it was just a personality issue. So what I did is actually I called up that other coach and say, listen, I have this potential lead. Do you want to take it over from me? Because it's not going to work with me. Obviously, was this easy to do? Absolutely not. Really hated it. And people told me I was stupid to do so. But at the end of the day, what's more important is your client. It's not about you. It's your client. And if it's a click with your client, I could have taken up this potential lead and really probably have spent months of agony because it really was not going to work out. Or I could just have thought about what was more important, which was my client and making sure that my client has a good coach that fits with her personality. So all of this just to say that one, there is enough space for everyone. And the two, the most important thing is what you bring into the coaching relationship, not what other people. And I know it's very easy to compare yourself. I mean, God knows we all do it. But at the end of the day, this plays enough for everyone. And I'm sure you will bring in something specific. However, and that's actually the thing, do identify what is it specifically that you bring in. Is it because you're focusing on a specific public? Is it your expertise? Is it your training? Like I said, focus more on that. And you will see, you will find the people that really want to work with you because you're bringing in this or that. So well, Lisa, I hope this helps. Let me know if I can offer you any other help or support. I see Bev, you're nodding.
I think that advice is always helpful when you're in business. It doesn't matter what your business is.
No, exactly.
You have to find that happy place between kind of knowing what everybody else is doing, but not focusing on that, just really focusing on your own strengths and your own, like you said, your own pleasure. Who do you like working with? And
oh yeah,
what brings you joy as well. So,
yeah, exactly. Well,
yeah.
I did have to go through it at the difficult moment, but yeah, now I'm like
yes.
my elimination.
Yes. I started publishing magazines many years ago, And women's magazines are, you know, there's some very high-end magazines out there. And if I had gone into a bookstore or a magazine store and looked at the amazing glossy magazines, I would have just done nothing. I would have overall. I just learned early on, don't go into magazine stores and look what they're doing. Just have faith in myself. You know, I'm not competing with them. I'm finding my own space and just producing something I know that people want. You know, a very niche little magazine. So it was a good lesson for me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's it. I mean, if you want it and you're not finding the magazine you want in the store, then there's other people who are looking for that same magazine as well. Is it still running? That magazine?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was going to say it would have been a good one to see which one you published.
My very first one was called Work From Home, but that was in 1997. So
oh wow!
Still...
Oh, you're a pioneer, actually.
Yes, it was just starting to be possible because people were getting computers, you know, more than one computer in their own home. So.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
that's a funny one.
sidetracking.
Oh no. Always interesting to know. So I have a last big question from Selina. So Selina, she is dealing with imposter syndrome, and she's asking me how to approach new clients and how to reply to very specific questions some of her writers have. So I'll start with the first one, how to deal with imposter syndrome when you approach new clients. So first of all, everybody has imposter syndrome at one point or another. So acknowledge it. Don't be afraid of it, or don't try to hide it or anything like that. I mean, that's my approach. Like when I feel I have imposter syndrome, I'm just like, okay, we're sitting down and face it. First thing, when you want to approach new clients, identify where the imposter syndrome comes from. Is it the feeling or is it the fact? So feeling, it can be, I'm really scared of reaching out to that new client. Totally normal. I think everyone always has that feeling of being scared or not knowing sure what will be the reaction, what will happen. You can also say, yes, well, I'm afraid to reach out that new client because he or she might say no. And that is a fact. Yes, the person can say no. But actually the way I approach it is like, when you reach a new client, you already have a no. I mean, the person can decide not to reply to you or say no or anything like that. The only thing that you can get with your email is a yes. So feeling scared, fact, yes, you can get a no, but you can also get a yes. You already have your no. So the next thing, if that doesn't help, if that doesn't calm down my scares, is thinking what is the worst that can happen. And if you send out an email or you call someone or you're just reaching out to a new client, the worst that can happen is that the person is brushing you off a little bit violently. I've had it a couple of weeks ago. Well, you know what? I'm still standing here. I still survived. I had a good cry, a glass of wine, a dinner with my friends, and that was it. And I would say if this happens to you, do that. Call a friend or, shut up your phone, take a break, because I know it can be really heartbreaking when you get a nasty email that you didn't ask for. But it's just keep in mind that that person maybe had a bad day, or your email comes at a really wrong moment, and you're an easy target. A last possibility to cope with imposter syndrome, oh my God, I lost the word, is to have a success wall. So I have a success wall. You will have to identify your own coping mechanism, but this is one that helps me as well. And so every single time that I have a little success, how little it might be, I take a post-it, I put the name of the person or whatever that happens on the post-it, and I put it on my wall. And I'm actually staring at right at now, and Beth, you are on my wall because you were my first YouTube subscriber. So you see, the very smallest things, I put it on a post-it, I put it on there because it is achievement. So, and if you're thinking, oh my God, I really don't belong here, or this is not my space, or not should be doing this, just look at that wall or paper or whatever you put on your achievements and tell yourself, well, you know what, there are people who actually trusted me at one point or another on my journey. And that can help you further on. So to wrap up, ask yourself, it's a feeling, fact, what can be the worst, and then think about something where you can gather your achievements. Maybe you'll have other coping mechanisms, but the most important thing is to really already think about how you're going to cope with it. Because again, we're all having imposter syndrome. It's not a question of if, but when. So when that happens, you want to have your system in place, because that's already going to help you leverage and calm down a little bit and being able to get up to your next step. Now, regarding your very specific question, so you have sometimes writer who ask you, how much books did you write? So I know that can be a very intimidating question, but for me, that's like a non-question, because if to be a successful book writing coach, you have to have written books. How many books are we talking? 5, 10, 15, 20, 100? What kind of books? Do you need to be an Amazon bestseller? Like we all know that you can tweak a little bit the system to become a bestseller while you've only sold 2 of your books, or do you need to be a New York Times bestseller? And if you really are the New York Times bestseller with 100 books, does that make you a good book writing coach? Maybe, but maybe not as well. So I would say don't be afraid of this question, because it's a non-question. You will never have a good enough reply to it. Now, if you get the reply, I would say be honest and ask the writer why he or she is asking you that question. Because I think this question in most cases just translate the fact that the person doesn't have enough trust or confidence yet in your abilities. So if you identify, the writer can say, well, you haven't published a book yet, so are you sure that you will be able to go with me until the end, or you don't have any experience in self-publishing, for example? You can reply to that kind of questions. If the person says, well, you don't have any experience in self-publishing, you can say yes, because that's not what I do, and I can refer you to someone else. Or when the person says, well, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to support me until the end, you can say, well, I will be able to support you through that, because I know how difficult that is. I haven't finished my book yet myself, but I can help you to go over those writing blocks, and we can find techniques. And I am someone from the exterior, so I can see you. My role is really to push you to finish your book. So don't be afraid of the question, be honest, and try to figure out why exactly that person is asking you the question. A thing that you also can do is to put a humorous spin on it. When I get that kind of questions, I always take the example of obese. Obese, we don't know any male obese yet who has given birth to a child. I'm not sure if this is politically correct what I'm saying, but we'll go for it anyway. But how many of us do not ask ourselves any question? We go see a male OB, well, we know that he probably will never go to the experience, and we're not coming in as well as asking that male OB, like, how many babies have you given birth to? Or I read recently a story about a pageant coach for Miss Universe. He's a male pageant coach for Miss Universe. So he never has competed Miss Universe as well. And clearly people trust him as well. So, try not to stay too long on the question. Be honest, put a humorous spin on it if you want, and just try to figure out why the writer is really asking you that question. So, okay, very long explanation, but I really hope it helped. I know this is a very tricky and sensitive question. So feel free to reach out if you need some other details or more feedback on that. I'm happy to help.
Great answer.
Oh, thank you.
When you say OB, you mean obstetrician?
Yes. Yeah.
I had to think about what you were saying. I finally figured it out.
Oh, no. Yeah. But in Australia, you say obstetrician, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we're talking about obstetricians. Yeah.
Yes.
Beth, do you have a question or a topic? Because my questions are done. I had really big questions.
I thought there'd be more in the group, but let me think for a moment. Actually, I'm working on putting together a group program. Okay, here's the question. It's kind of related to what you're talking about. I'm putting together a group book coaching program starting at the end of May. And because I haven't run it before, that specific topic before, I'm actually calling it a beta program. So I've reduced the cost, probably about half of what I anticipate I will charge next time I run it. Yep. So, I'm very comfortable with that process. What do you think about that? Whether it's a beta individual program for an author or a group program, I really do like the idea of calling it a beta program, because the participant or the client knows that this is the first time that somebody's running it, and they also know that part of the up as part of the deal is that they can give feedback as well about how it could be
Yeah,
done better.
exactly.
Or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. It also shows the other, like already it shows you right so that you're honest on it, or saying, okay, you know, guys, this is not a program I have been running for 10 years. I'm just starting out. And yes, you compensate. You say, okay, you know, lower price, but I would be very clear on it as saying, okay, I will need you more feedback, and ask that feedback as well, like feedback, testimonial, tips and advice. Is there going to be any video or something like that in the program?
No, I'm running it live.
Okay, yeah.
I will record each session, but yeah, I'm running it live, but I'm adding in extra one-to-one coaching sessions as well to supplement the group presentations. So,
okay.
I know I'm providing really good value.
Yeah. Yeah, because then if you record them, like every recording, ask them that they fill in a form. It doesn't have to be very complicated because you don't want to overcharge them, well, but just to know, okay, did you like this session? Do you want to have more? And then, like, get out as much as you can, because you are obviously offering it at a reduced price. If people don't want to have that, you know, do that extra work, then it at least gives them the chance to say, okay, I'll jump on the one when you are really up and running 100% perfectly, and I don't need to give you that much feedback, for example. But yeah, I think it's a really great idea. It's also making you more comfortable, and that's actually the way how I do my group program as well. Like, I'm going to do one next year, and it's the same. I'm making it very clear to people, okay, you know, you pay less, but I'm expecting more from you as well. So that's the only thing to keep in mind. And then it will also get, because especially the first time, it's always going to be tweaking things, making sure that, you know, that there's always going to be problems or things you didn't think about or questions you didn't think about. Make it also available for them, saying, you know, if you have a question or something, send it in by email. This is your moment. I always make, when people sign up for that kind of program, I always make them feel special, because you're the first one in the beta session. You're going to have so much more access to me than you will have later on, because that's also the purpose, right? You do that first one, you put in more space and more time of yourself in there, but the second one, it's going to be a more traditional group program where you're less involved, and it's really more strict of, like, you know, the one-to-one sessions, for example, you have to pay on top, or the group sessions are no longer in live, it's recording. So, you know, yeah, I would make it just clear and make them also feel important to participate to that first session.
Great. Thank you.
No worries. When are you launching it? I can put the link.
Friday the 20th May.
And it is for Memoir, right?
Memoir, yes. Yes.
Okay, so if you're interested to learn more about the program of Beth, there's a link down on the YouTube video to go check it out. Okay. Anything else? Or... No,
that's what's taking.
We're missing the chatty ones here. Huh?
Here we are. Yes. And it just